Okay, hello there. So, I just finished, well, like literally 2 seconds ago for myself as of this moment, doing the part one of whatever these videos are called for today. I guess daily walk videos. I don't know. Oh yeah, and I actually had a few cookies with me. I grabbed some of these before I walked out dining. So apparently these are chocolate chip cookies. These are actually a little bit of a lighter type. Normally they're a little bit denser. So I wasn't sure if they're the M&M cookies. I don't know. M&M cookies here, they're not bad, but like I don't really like them all too much. And the M&Ms are super small. Whatever. But not bad. Not bad. You know, have some nice little treat here. But, well, I mean, it is kind of normal for me to have some kind of dessert. So, you know, but still. Well, sorry, I'm just enjoying my cookies here. Alright. So let's see, I have a bunch of different, well, at least a handful of different things in my mind right now. So what am I going to talk about? Well, so let's see here. Well, I was kind of talking about, you know, style of the videos for a little bit, right? You know, so I know that when I started making Minecraft videos, so I did the very first Minecraft video I did was the test speed run. It was part one or something like that, even though I never actually continued that. I don't know, I kind of like the idea a little bit of you know, I think if I leave the seed in the video, I forget. I'll have to rewatch it again, look through it. But if I did sorry, don't mind me leaning back and forth. If I did leave the seed of that video, like the seed of the world, then I don't know, I might try speedrunning it, although I don't know. I mean, since it is definitely kind of special in that way, since it's the first, well, unless you're counting the test Minecraft video I did, you know, like 2 or 3 years ago, on the Xbox. This is not a very good quality. You know, there's no sound in it either. But anyways, at some point I'd like to pull that seed back up, you know, speedrun that, right? Because I think that'd be kind of special, sort of symbolic, you know, sort of tying back to the beginnings of Minecraft and whatnot. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe it feels weird. I mean, it does feel a little weird, perhaps, to say that, to think about it, because again, I've only played Minecraft on YouTube for, you know, but I mean, it's March right now. It's getting pretty close to the end of it, so almost April, right? And I started making Minecraft videos in, what was it, October, I think it was, or something like that. So it's been October, well, it's late October, but so October, November, December, January, February, March. All right, so you know, it's been probably about half a year since I started doing it, which is honestly really weird to think, half a year. I mean, or something like that, right? I don't know. Maybe it was November, so it's probably closer to 5 months. Whatever the case was, right? 5-6 months, right? I like to make the video good. I don't know. I'm sorry, I got off point there. But yes, anyways, besides the first, I think it was like 3 or 4 Minecraft videos that I did, I don't, just ignoring the very, very first one on the Xbox, the very bad quality. Ignoring that one, right, I don't know. I kind of felt like, they started to, I wouldn't say like that they declined, but I say, I don't know, maybe just because it's becoming more normal for me to make Minecraft videos, right? It's just a normal thing now, right? And it's not like that the way that it felt like at first, where it's kind of like, oh wow, this is so cool, or like, this thing that I kind of been, I'd sort of, I guess dreamed of, I suppose you could say that. I feel a little hesitant to, I don't know, I like to feel sort of like grounded, I suppose, or realistic. I don't want to get carried away by my feelings, although, I mean, wanting to be realistic does not mean you don't get carried away from things. Reality, emotions don't work like that, but you get the point. I think hopefully you get. Sorry if you don't, but yeah. So, right, these Minecraft videos started becoming, a lot more normalized for me to do, right? And I at the time too, and I don't know, I do feel maybe a little bit of it, but it's kind of starting to go away since, a little different now, right? But at the time, I kind of felt like, well, I barely have any videos, right? I barely have much of anything, and I really just want to get like a bunch of stuff out, right? And I've gotten like at least 230 videos out or something, combining all of the ones that I've done, I believe. I don't know if that's counting the random shorts I did like at home when I was in like my sophomore or junior year of high school or whenever that was. Although I am kind of wishing I did more videos at this time in retrospect, because I think it would have been a lot nicer to have a lot more stuff to be able to look back on than just like 15, 16 videos, right? I don't know, but at the same time, kind of have to be like, accepting of it, and plus kind of also kind of pat myself on the back for trying to do this and doing it very seriously, very consistently for the last several months, right? Last several months, right? So and at the beginning of college too, right? Because this was my freshman year, so I'm already capturing a lot of stuff. And I don't know. I think this sort of, if it's probably it's probably a fairly common experience or emotion, but it's like, I want to capture the past in a way, right? Like, I know that I can't go back and change things, and I don't think I necessarily should try anything like that, but it's like, I want to cherish what, where I've been, and be able to see memories, experiences that I've made, that I've had. And that's what, I've written, I don't know what the number was, but I've written in a lot, and I mean a lot, of diaries. And unfortunately, some of the stuff, especially in the earlier ones, it's like, I just solved random math problems because I was kind of nerdy about math at the time, or just random dumb stuff that, like, just super ordinary. Although I don't know. It's kind of like, well, even though I kind of realized, it's just like normal, boring kid stuff that I feel like, not really that original or interesting or creative. I mean, at the same time, it is kind of like, well, kind of is interesting, because like, it's still part of myself, my history, the relationships I've had, how I've changed as a person in my life, right? And so, so there's that, right, to it. I don't know, sometimes, and I feel like I'm feeling different about this, or kind of moving away from this sort of attitude, right? But when I was, so when I was younger, right, like, when I don't know, whenever like read stories, or like, or more probably more so, I'd hear people talk about certain stories and be like, all sappy and whatnot, right? And I don't know, honestly, necessarily where this tendency sort of came from. Excuse me, but I kind of felt like, kind of, I don't know. I was like, I'm sorry. I was kind of like, I don't, you make me feel this way. I don't like it. So I'm kind of just gonna like sort of, I don't pretend that I don't feel that way, or kind of just feel like, or kind of just be like, oh, I'm sort of just angry about it or whatever, like, be like, oh, well, I mean, I did realize that, okay, well, I was a kid at the time too, but I was kind of wanting to be like, well, I don't feel, when I was a kid, like, I didn't mentally feel like I was a kid. I feel like I was mentally much older, and I didn't really relate all too well to a bunch of people my age. And I don't know, I still sort of feel that way, although it's different now. And now I do try to connect and be friendly and all that. I think it's changed, but quite a bit the way I try to deal with it. But nonetheless, man, I should eat this cookie. I've been holding it for the last 5 minutes. I should start eating it. Yeah, anyways, right, so, like, whole sappy stories, whatever, and I kind of be like, well, this sort of stuff, it just, so it's, it's all tender and sweet and all that kind of stuff, and I just feel like, well, I don't like the way that you make me feel, so, piss off, right, like, this is just kids stuff, which, I mean, it's kind of funny for me to say, because, I was a kid too, but I didn't, like I said, I didn't feel like it all the time, but, no, I'm kind of more like, well, I'm more in touch with my feelings, and more, or maybe I'm just more willing to, acknowledge and feel them in the way that they are than I did when I was, 5 or 6, or, when I was like 10 or 11 or, whatever age it was. Which, I mean, I guess, it's not sense because, I'm older now, I've matured a little bit more, at least, but, I don't know. Although there is still a lot of 18-year-olds that, and older, that, are not mature. I mean, no, never mind. I'm going to say specific examples, but I don't want to get into that right now, but I don't want to start any drama or anything like that on here. Not my intention at all, but anyways. Drinking the water, thinking about that stuff, and hearing these guys over there, whoever they are, talking. I made me forget what I was going to say next, fortunately. Oh, right. Yeah, a lot of people who, don't learn to, don't learn certain things they need to, or become more mature or responsible. You know, right? Age does not equate to wisdom, right? Or maturity. As much as you might like to think that it does. I know. So, I'm making these interesting sort of stories or side points, whatever. And I don't know. I mean, I know I have this sort of tendency to kind of just, I definitely have this tendency to get off topic and talk about different, tangents and all that. My apologies. And not. Sorry, not sorry. But like how this, tying. Okay, so going back to the whole thing of, Minecraft videos and all that. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I feel like I kind of said what I already kind of wanted to there. That I was kind of feeling less, enthused or excited or like, starting to feel more like, I kind of just, want, maybe even need in someone, although I know I don't actually need to, but it sort of felt like it, have a big sort of base of videos, right? Like if I make with my channel, right, if I make, several hundred videos, or at least a few hundred, right, make a whole bunch of crazy ass stuff, and then I can kind of go, all right, now that we have a whole bunch of shit to work with, we already have the whole sort of system kind of established, right, then I can kind of start slowing down and, trying to focus more on sort of quality over quantity, right? Because I feel like I don't know, maybe my videos have been of high quality. Perhaps I'm just really being critical towards myself, but, or misunderstanding something, but, like I've already released a bunch of videos, and I don't know, I mean, I go with one, 230 videos is a lot of videos, but at the same time it's not, because it's like, there's people who've been Minecraft YouTubers who, had thousands of videos, millions of videos, right? But, I'm just comparing myself there, so, that's not really helping all too much, but anyhow, so, although I feel like at the same time too, so I've had a few times here and there, maybe once or twice or something like that every couple of weeks, I don't know, or whatever it is, I'll kind of be like, I think I'm going to make this schedule for my videos, or I think I'm going to try to focus on doing less of them for, like greater quality or whatever. I'm going to like really focus on it, and I kind of have this sort of idea in my mind of when I say stuff like that. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to like record stuff across like 1 or 2 days, right? Like kind of like how I normally do, and then, I'll take a bunch of time to very thoroughly go through the entire videos and like, add all sorts of like, sound effects and, make sure that the, basically just everything that really goes into making like really high quality videos, I sort of feel like, right? Like I said, tons of like, sort of funny sound effects, sort of like changing songs at different times to kind of like match what's going on, making sure that like I really get like the most tense, important, interesting parts of the Minecraft video, whatever it may be, really trying to match the whole sort of vibe, and really feeling like, I'm sitting down for like 2-3 hours, every day, for 3-4 days in a week, just thoroughly going through that video, and then I get it out and I feel like yeah, I worked really really hard on that, but I don't feel like I have. I feel like I've had a lot of times where staying up to my normal bedtime or a little later even, and that could vary from a few minutes to like an hour or so, just to get a video out, just because I'm like, well, I just want to get the footage off my computer. I just want to get that out because, to recognize I can only have so many videos at one time, and, I don't want to have too many videos that I haven't edited yet. But don't mind the random motorcyclist here. But yeah, anyways. Although I don't know. I feel like for me though, when I'm thinking that, like, it sounds all nice, but then I realize, well, I want to have I get a lot of ideas of stuff I want to do, and I don't know if I'm going to actually do all of them. I don't know, if I will or not, and sometimes I feel like I overestimate my energy levels. I feel like I overestimate kind of like how long or like how much time I have for a Minecraft video, or that it will take to complete like a certain challenge, like a modded challenge or something random or funny, right? And it just takes longer than I think it would. It is a little frustrating, but I'm not here to complain about time constraints. But I could, but I'm not. Try to avoid doing so. But I just hope that people enjoy this sort of stuff, and I don't know, maybe I don't know. I know that I'm starting to, at least for like the last 2 weeks or so, maybe more, maybe longer, I don't know. I've kind of started releasing the Minecraft videos pretty much just between Friday and Sunday, which I think, excuse me, might be a kind of a good idea. Maybe a step in the right direction. But although at the same time I'm kind of like, well, if I'm doing homework and then chores and then video editing and then maybe recording more videos, I kind of don't have time to watch TV, or simply just play the game, whatever game probably Minecraft, but whatever other stuff it might be too, without without putting the pressure on myself to feel like I gotta record it. Which it is. It's not an impossible dilemma, I don't think, but it is one nonetheless, because it's like I want to have stuff I want to share. I have ideas I want to share. I want to record things because I want to hold that sort of dear and precious and be able to, look back on that. Look back on these things in my future, right? Look back on, my past and be able to just see all the cool shit that I thought of and did. And I don't know, maybe I just compare myself a lot. Maybe I just am self-critical. Maybe I am just, I have unrealistic expectations, or whatever the case may be, or all of these things, or some of them. But it's like I keep on feeling like I have some kind of cool ideas, but it's like, do I actually ever do anything? do I ever feel like I've actually, truly accomplished or achieved something? Because I feel like if in order for me to do that, I really would have to not just like, oh, I have this kind of crazy funny idea. I know, I think, I'm actually pushing myself just, a little bit. Oh, if I do something, just a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I have to like really, really, push myself and be really aggressive in a sort of manner and like get it done, right? And I feel like I don't, I have a hard, I wouldn't say never, but I have a very hard time dealing with that sort of energy. I have a hard time making myself like, do that in most situations. Maybe not all, maybe, not all the time, I don't think, but, right, I'm like, well, right, I know that, I'm like, well, I want to, I want to, I would have some comfort, I want to kind of go things at my pace, right, I don't want to, overstrain myself, and I also don't want to, wake these off again. I don't want to, I kind of feel like that, and I don't know, maybe it's just because maybe I just don't accept this in myself, but I'm like, I feel like, oh yeah, I'm kind of taking a sort of like, fighting, maybe sort of entrepreneurial sort of spirit, right, and I'm being really active and really get going and stuff, and then people are like, all right, yeah, and they're kind of like vibing with it, but then it feels like they'd be like, all right, so you can do this right now, you can do this, you can do that, what's your whole plans, and it just sort of being like, well, okay, what maybe just feels like, normal, or maybe, maybe just like a little bit sort of like bold or whatever for other people, it feels a lot more effort for me. It feels like it, I mean, let me give you a sort of example here. So it's like, I'm a person of comfort and habits, right? I mean, yeah, I could say that, to some degree, perhaps because, we're all humans, but I mean, I think a little bit more so because I'm an autistic individual. I mean, I don't want to use that as a description for everything. I don't mean to, but regardless, right? So, I have that, and, right, I know, I just, shit, I forgot what I was going to say. I'm also I've for pretty much as long as I can really remember, I've been like I'm going to follow, I'm going to abide by the rules. I'm going, I don't want to do anything to, I don't, it's like, I feel, I'm afraid of getting caught. And I also don't want to piss people. I also don't want to get caught in drama. I also don't want to be like, oh shit, there's like these like really bad consequences that I can't get out of, right? Or that, I'm going to be met with some kind of, resistance, or, be punished or something, right? And I don't want to, disturb that. I don't want to make things more complicated than they need to be. I don't want to, disturb the peace, if you will. Like, I might, gently push it, I might, and maybe enjoy being a little silly, a little goofy, maybe pushing it in the creative sense, right? Or by trying to, in those sort of areas, right? But I don't, it's like, I don't know. Whatever it is, however you, I suppose, you interpret it. But where was I? Where was I even going with this? I'm sorry, I forget apologies. I don't know. I mean, it's like, I mean, the other thing too is like, I don't even know who like watches my stuff, most of my stuff, anyways. Like, I mean, yeah, sure, I can, look at the YouTube statistics and say, well, I don't know if, you're my teacher, or if you're a classmate of mine. I don't know if you're just some random person, who lives on the other side of the world and has absolutely nothing to do with my life, right? And I don't know, because it's like, I feel this. I mean, I haven't got any messages yet on my channel about it, and I mean, honestly, I'm still pretty small, and I think I try to be, mature and respectful and responsible, all that good stuff, right? But I'm like, kind of worried that I'm gonna like offend someone, or that I'm like, I don't know, how am I supposed to like, how am I supposed to be, or what to say, or what language to use when all sorts of different kinds of people watch my videos, right? Like, it's like, I want to be myself, but I also don't want to, upset, I don't want to disturb anyone. I don't want to stir up any drama, or get caught up in anything like that. You're right. I just don't, I'm not trying to hurt anyone. I don't, my intention is not to offend anyone. My intention is not to, cause any problems. And I mean, if I do, I mean, either with anything that I might have said already, or that I do say or do in the future, I mean, I'm sorry. And I apologize for that. And, and again, it's like, if you have any problems with me, just message me personally, right? And just be respectful, and just, try to, I mean, it's something I think I've learned, but, right, if you're going to criticize people, right, try to do it in a respectful way. Try to do it in a constructive way. I mean, and I'm not, and I know that, not everyone's going to listen to that. I know that a lot of people, and this is probably a very common thing, are still probably going to feel offended, or take it personally. I do this all the time. But, it is a more mature sort of way, right? And even if people don't, even if, it's like, even if people treat us poorly, I think we should still try to be kind to them, right? I mean, and I think that this has been one thing that I've, sort of, kind of remembered, internalized, I don't know, as sort of part of my beliefs, sort of, from, Christian background and all that, because it's like, I genuinely just want to, be nice, and, be helpful if I can, and just, like, I'm just trying to do the right thing, just, just trying to live my life, right? I don't want to hurt anyone, but, again, how does this even, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the other weird part of this too is it's just like, well, I'm talking to myself essentially in front of a camera, right? In front of my phone for, like, minutes and minutes on end. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, it is kind of weird to think about it, but I don't know. I mean, I already. It's weird too. Maybe weird for a lot of people, but
I already talked to myself. It doesn't even matter if I'm recording a video like this or not. I talk to myself all the time. Well, not all the time, not all the time. Very frequently. Right, I'm very frequently trying to engage in some sort of thought or another. I don't know. I mean, I do realize that, you know, I think I said this before. I haven't, but sort of. Sometimes it can kind of maybe ruin me properly enjoying or being fully present in an experience. I'm just constantly in my head about stuff, right? But I don't know. And I know that my tendency to analyze things and think about can, it can backfire, and it can and has at times, prevented me from maybe being a little bit happier here or there, or feeling a little more satisfied, or maybe I could have grown a little bit more as a person at certain moments if I just put myself out there and I just did stuff and I didn't think about it too hard or too much, right? And I do regret that. It's not like a massive regret, because I kind of think that so far, I've probably kind of overplayed that mentally. All right, maybe if it helps to kind of, excuse me, even if I'm getting tired, talk about some of the stuff with other people, or kind of get a different perspective. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's actually not that bad. So yeah, that's kind of why, I don't know. So I feel like sometimes I kind of just get lost when I make these videos, because I'm not. There's no one I'm bouncing these off of. I'm just saying stuff, and I'm just reacting to me saying stuff. But anyways, I don't know.
Oh, ain't no way. I said this side.
I'm really doing a hug right now, not gonna lie. I think it might feel a little better. What? Also because it's a little chillier out here now. Especially since the sun's down, and I've been sitting still pretty much for the last,
almost 40 minutes.
But I think the other part of why I want to have so many videos is because it's like, not only is it that I want to look back on my past and see a lot of information and feel like I've preserved it, right? It's not lost to time, it's preserved in a manner, I kept it somehow. But I also want to
sort of like share. I want to feel a sort of, I don't mean just videos here. I mean, with communicating with people in real life, right? Outside of these videos, which is most of my life, right? Be weird if this was, I don't know, whatever. Or maybe it wouldn't be, because a lot of people do make livings off of content creation, but whatever.
point aside, right? You know, I want to share. I want to feel the sort of emotional depth or connection. I want to feel like, you know, it feels, you know, and there's also some different levels of this, right? I'm not talking just romantic, you know, or sexual. I mean, yes, absolutely that too, right? I mean, that is definitely a big part of it, but I mean, like, you know, familial. I mean, like, friendships, right? I feel like, you know, I want to, I mean, I think this, you know, it's very, very common experience. I'm not alone in this at all, right? You know, I want to feel close to other people, you know, that's a normal experience, right? You know, and I feel, and I'm like, I want to, you know, like, especially since, you know, a lot of people, you know, they're in our lives for such a short period of time, I'm like, you know, but I want to, you know, feel close. I want to cherish this time that we have. I want to cherish my relationship with you and hold you close, right? And, you know, be generous and help you and, you know, share myself and be vulnerable in that sort of way, right? Because I really care about you. I really care about our relationship, right? And I think that was kind of, I mean, I don't know. But not the entire, I mean, I think it was kind of the combination of these two feelings, you know, maybe plus one or two other ones that, you know, and like, you know, challenging myself to make videos because I thought it'd be a super cool idea. It's kind of a combination between these three things, right? I think that kind of caused me to, you know, start making daily walk videos, to start making dinner monologue videos, to start making, you know, these videos where I've, you know, gone on and, you know, ranted about, you know, stuff, or, you know, explained a bunch of feelings I've had in depth, you know, for, well, you know, for a while, for, you know, in a matter of, many minutes, you know, that would probably compile to, actually, I mean, I don't even know how long it would be, but, you know, at least several hours worth of content. Just daily walks alone. I mean, we're counting the Minecraft stuff. I mean, a lot of those are very long videos, so, you know, be at least a few days, if not more. You know, maybe even it's up to a week or something. I have no idea. Wait, I don't know. I'd have to see. If anyone is insane enough and they want to take on the challenge, feel free to look at every single one of the videos that I've ever done on my channel, including this one and the last one, and add up all of the times of every single one of them and tell me what the total length of time of all of that is in terms of, you know, seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, etc. if anyone's up for the challenge, I doubt anyone is, but if anyone ever does, bravo, congratulations to you. I sincerely thank you for that. I enjoy learning the little random facts, like how long, well, you know, what the total or like the average time and length of stuff like this is. But I don't know. You know, I was like talking about the whole sort of like, you know, wanting sort of closeness kind of feeling, right? And so I'm kind of like, well, you know, just thinking about that, right? Well, I'm not gonna say who it is, obviously, but, you know, probably would have seen all of that. But one of my friends from high school, right, when he was watching at least a few of my videos, at least I don't know if he was watching the Minecraft ones, but at least a few daily walk videos, you know, or maybe some of the other
you know, stuff like that, or you know, the dinner monologues or whatever. Excuse me. I wonder if I'm getting tired. He's kind of like, well, you know, I think that people would feel closer to you if you said this kind of stuff to them in real life. And I do, honestly, I do think that is true. I do think that, you know, that is true. I was gonna say something there. I just keep repeating myself there. Sorry. You know, and yeah, I know that I don't think I'm alone in these sort of, you know,
Kind of, you know, reasons that I make up mentally to not do so, or to kind of resist it sometimes. It could be like, well, you know, it's inconvenient, or, you know, people don't really care, you know, because they have their own lives, they have their own problems, right? Or, you know, the different situations. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they all are, I think, true to, you know, their own degree, their own right. I mean, yeah, you do kind of have to, you know, kind of more gauge what the right sort of, you know, settings are, or the right, you know, the right people. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like, and I mean, I haven't really thought about it, you know, as much during college here, but for much of it. But more so when I was in high school. Like, excuse me. You know, like what are they doing? What are they doing? What are they doing over there? Genuinely, I'm so confused right now. Why does it be like screaming? Why is it so loud? Chill. Probably trying to go to bed or something. Or, you know, winding down. Chill your pants off. Actually, don't. Okay, that's the wrong sound. Excuse me. Just chill, relax. You know. Oh crap. Right. That. Well, actually, I don't think this was necessarily a thing. Just in high school. I mean, I feel like maybe to some degree, it still kind of is. And it's maybe in a different way. Or I don't know. Maybe it's very similar. I just don't realize it. But you know, it's like that. Okay, so I'd like to think that I frequently make attempts to, you know, kind of get to know people better, to become closer to them, you know, to develop these sort of relationships or whatever. But then feel like people are, you know, I notice that people are uncomfortable. I notice that people don't really know what to say, you know, or that, it makes sense because it's like, well, they don't really know me all that well, you know, why should they, you know, sort of trust me in that sort of sense? Or I don't know, or maybe I'm just thinking in terms of different circumstances and, well, I forget what I was going to say there, but anyways, right, that, like, you know, all sorts of things, you know, that, you know, people will be busy, or that, you know, you already don't really know each other that well, so, you know, why are you trying to get close to me, or maybe it's, like, cultural, you know, upbringing, or whatever, and I don't know, maybe just a lot of the times it's, like, well, that, you know, like I do, you know, people are just gonna make their own reasons
to not to do or not do certain things, or they're going to just, they're going to, and I'm not saying this in a angry way, although I have felt that way sometimes. I'm like, come on, I'm trying to like get close to you. I'm trying to like build this relationship. Why is everyone trying to like, not everyone, I'm like, why are you guys like resisting? Or like, why are you, why, like, come on, I just want to feel like I understand, what's going on. I want to understand what you think, what you feel, how do you perceive the world, what do you, what do you need to, to be happy, to thrive, right? Like, I want to see the, I want to see the depth, I want to see the character, I want to see, the stuff that is kind of shaped people, right? Because, I care about them. But, it's like, well, I at the end of the day, I mean, I can't control how anyone else acts, right? I can't decide that. I can't. I mean, and even if I could, would even be the right thing to do, it would even be ethical, right? So, would I want anyone doing that to me, right? Would I? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I kind of, what if I'm, what if I'm, making people feel uncomfortable, or making them feel like intruded on, on their personal space, or on their, knowledge. Maybe they're trying to just, or I don't know, or am I just projecting? Am I just, putting this, perspective or ideas, or whatever that I have, onto other, onto other people, right? And then getting frustrated about it, But I think it's something that's kind of like why stuff like that's kind of like why I was kind of, I have been, continue to have been, even though I haven't really thought about it quite nearly as much, but recently, last year or so, but I've kind of drawn stuff like Enneagram, or psychoanalysis, or maybe sort of deep psychological theories, or whatever, even if they were technically pseudoscience or whatever, right? Or they could be necessarily like proven per se, or a lot of people are like, hey, it's just a bunch of bogus or something, right? But I don't know. It's also just like, I just want to understand. I just want to know things. I just want to, understand the world that which I live in. I want to understand myself, and who I am, and what things mean, what the purpose of stuff is, why we do what we do, and what that reflects upon, our deepest hurts, pains, our deepest desires, our needs, what does it take for each and every one of us to really grow, to really thrive, to really feel like you're on top of the world, and you're just living your best life, right? You feel like you're meeting up to your potential, you are, and it's hard because it's like, well, I want to, I wish I could just, that there's some way I could just know for certain what that is, right? But I could know for certain that, okay, so this is what it is, this is what this, book says, this is what this, rule, written in this, stone that is,
always been, it's always been shown to be true, or something, or, like, some kind of divine, command or whatever, just saying, and I just inherently, like, just know that to be true. And it's just unquestioned, and it's just like, I feel sort of like peace and security, and like, well, I have it figured out, or at least, someone that, cares about you, that's close to me, does. Maybe I don't have to be the one to do it, but I mean, maybe someone that, I know, and, have a really strong relationship with, maybe they know. I mean, that's good enough for me. I don't have to, as long as someone else that I trust does. But, reality doesn't work like that. Reality doesn't do that. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you, I know I'm just getting really, philosophical, really spiritual about, some of the stuff, really the topics and all that. But it's like, well, but also a lot of people, I mean, I don't really know how many it is necessarily, but, a lot of people have kind of, like, talked about sort of big spiritual experiences they've had, or the sort of feeling like, that, whatever religion, I don't know, it might be, they sort of feel like that, they're, God or gods or goddess or goddesses or whatever, whatever higher, existence or thing or entity or something, right, kind of communicates stuff to them, or sort of shows them things in real life, right? And and how really eye-opening, and like just how powerful that is, and just how, like, wow, right? Like, I mean, I think especially feeling that way because, right, we, in our modern age, I think that we sort of feel like, well, hell, sort of, sciencey attitude about, stuff has to be, real, it has to be, physical, it has to be grounded, it has to, we're just trying to be all sort of, like, realistic and, all up in our thoughts about stuff, but, like, you can even just simply observe. I mean, one way of observing the fact that reality is not that way is our feelings, right? If we just, right, we didn't have emotions, we just thought stuff, right? We only see the world and shades of, it'd be just between black and white. It'd just be gray, right? It'd just be dull, right? We'd just be robots, essentially, just organic robots, right? And it just wouldn't see anything further than that. But this, even just me feeling these things that I do, that we're talking about for like almost the last hour or so, more probably, like that alone is kind of, a piece, exists, evidence that there is something more, that there, that there is something, beyond that. And I don't know what that is. I don't know how that really looks like, or what that manifests itself as, but it exists nonetheless. It exists, this, these other things that, exist. Like, you can't just, sure, you can be like, well, yeah, sure, you can, your emotions are just, chemical, hormonal, changes, or, because of responses in our body, or, stuff in metabolism, or, sleep, or whatever. And yes, you can go that way, but I don't think it's like, I think what we as people, or at least in large here in America, and I don't know, or maybe this is maybe this is not the norm, maybe this is something else entirely, but it's like, you know, it's a whole quantity versus quality, or the whole, like, you have different ways of measuring something, right? And that, you know, these people, you know, or not, I should say these people, you know, this sort of ideology, or sort of belief system, if you will, right? Sort of is like, well, it only, you know, it's one dimensional. It only measures things along a flat line, and it just looks either left or right. It's just a line stretching out for just an infinitesimally thin line, you know, and we're just one-dimensional creatures who just perceive things on either the left or the right, or up or down, or, you know, whatever the opposite directions you want to take, right? But, you know, and it's not, you know, but, you know, reality is multidimensional, right? You know, it's not, you know, it's not two-dimensional. It's not, you know, sort of, you know, length and width is also affected by depth, and, you know, or height, or, right? It's not just a flat screen, right? You know, it's not even just three-dimensional. You know, we experience things change in time, right? And how that, and, you know, and all the other dimensions. I don't know what all those are, but, you know, point being, and even though I know you use sort of very mathematical terms for that, I think it, you know, I think it suffices for the point. But I mean, even if you didn't understand it, you could even just say, well, you know, you like, just think of it like this. When you think of something, it's not the same thing, so to say, as when you feel that, you know, when you have that sensation, when you have this sort of, like, experience that can't just be described by numbers, by logic, by, you know, rationale, by, you know, just, you know, these sort of, you know, you know, a lot of it transcends the word, you know, it transcends more than just what we say or what we do. It's how we say, it's why, it's the moods that, you know, affect, you know, it's the way that we think, it's the way that we treat people, right? This is why people care about what they say, generally speaking. This is why, you know, part of why we, you know, we care so much about our relationships, right? And we want to feel close to people. We want to be, you know, sensitive to people's situations or their needs or whatever, because there's different, there exists this whole other part of ourself, part of our nature, that it just makes reality a lot more dimensional. I guess you could just simplify, put it down into that kind of term. Yeah, I think that makes the point. But anyways, I don't know. I'm kind of questioning if I should just go ahead and stop the video. I should just go in and just, you know, watch some TV or play some more games, or, you know, whatever, I don't know. I would say do homework, but it's past 9 now, and you know I really don't like doing homework past 9 because, right, I'm just like, you know, I'm just too fucking tired for that, right? Brain just does not want to. It's not that it can't. It's just too fucking tired for it. But at the same time, I kind of feel like that I'm in this sort of different way of experiencing time, and as soon as I go in and I just use the bathroom, you know, prep myself for bed, put my clothes out, play games, I kind of just going back in this different time bubble or dimension, and I'm just continuing to experience reality a lot faster, and you know, and before I know it, I'll be in bed, I'll be asleep. But right here, right now, it feels like time is slow. It feels like, you know, I'm in a different bubble. I'm outside of that bubble, right? And I want to cherish it. I want to continue it. I want to, you know, continue to enjoy it. And I think, you know, it's kind of like why it's like I just want to, I mean, my phone battery would eventually die out, but it's like, I just want to keep on sharing. I just want to keep on enjoying this sort of slowed down feel. I just want to keep on feeling, you know, tender and vulnerable and, you know, deep and, you know, all these things, right? I don't want to go back to I don't want to go back to, you know, hustling. I don't want to go back to feeling like I'm just on autopilot, right? I want to feel, you know, like I'm engaging in something deep, right? And I don't want to stop, and I do, and I have to, and I will, right? And when you're watching these videos, you know, probably long past the time that I've recorded this, right? Which is probably, I mean, it's normal, but it's weird for me to think because it'll be like, you know, I mean, there could be someone, you know, the next afternoon. And I don't know what the weather tomorrow's going to be, but let's just say that tomorrow's weather, it's nice, and it's warm, and it's sunny, and they don't, you know, they don't get that to me in this past moment, in this past time bubble that I'm in, that I feel like I'm in, that, you know, I'm feeling, you know, it's sprinkling, it's, you know, cool, you know, it's very dark, I'm tired, you know, I'm probably gonna go in, you know, in the next, well, I don't know, however long. You know, hopefully not too long. I really don't get my phone battery too low, but nonetheless, alright, so, and it's just like they're just not going to experience that, or future versions of myself watching this are just not going to feel the same way that I do now, and it is tragic. It is, you know, it's sad, right? But it's also kind of beautiful. It's also kind of beautiful too. It's like, you know, this is why I think one thing I really like videos. It's a very, I think it's a very, very good way of capturing, maybe not 100%. It's not, you know, but, you know, if we're saying along the lines of evolution, of being able to really relive the past, right? It's not quite up there just yet, but it's a step, right? It's a step up from just writing in a book, in a diary, in a journal, right? Or something like that. I'm verbalizing these things, right? I'm not just writing them. You get to hear my voice as it was, or will have been, or whatever, as of way before, potentially, or maybe not too long after. I don't know, whatever. After however much time, right? And what I'm saying now, or in your past, for anyone watching this, will just be forever immortalized like a bug, like a prehistoric, time dinosaurs like mosquito or something, some kind of bug would be an amber, and it's just in that, and it is sad, but it's also beautiful because I don't know, it just is. I don't know how to explain it. It just is beautiful. It just is fun and cool and fascinating, and you always have this thing to be able to wonder about and learn about and hold preciously, right? And I don't know, I don't know if everyone necessarily feels that way, but I feel like it's like, well, you don't want to, right? You don't want to, you don't want to be stuck in the past. You don't want to be so mentally at a different time period that you just fail to be in the here and now. You fail to experience things as they are, right? And sometimes I'm afraid that I don't do that, or that maybe I'm just so focused on what I'm thinking that I don't really fully just process or shift my focus towards what my body is experiencing rather than just what my mind is. But I don't know. I think I'm probably fine. I think I'm probably just I think I'll probably be fine. I'll probably be fine. But I don't know. Hopefully everything I've said has made sense to you all. Whoever is watching this. And I know this is really long, and I'm sorry, but sorry, not sorry. Right? But all right. Man, do I. These feelings, these thoughts, it's like, man, do I wonder when I'll, when I'll find, when I'll meet my, my future wife or wives, right, girlfriend, girlfriend's wife, or wives, whatever form, maybe of, one or more, deeply romantic and sexual, if I didn't say this word, female partners that I will have in my life, right? I'm like, where are you? Where are you at? What have you been doing? Just come into my life already. I want to be with you. I'm tired of just thinking and dreaming, and I want to have it real, and I want to. So, I don't want to just think about you. I want to see you. I want to hear you speak to me. I want to feel the way that you kiss me. It's like I want to be real. I want you to know who they are, who she is. I don't know. I mean, maybe at some point in my future, right? Whenever that may be, that, I'm with someone, and maybe I'm looking back on this, and maybe I feel significantly different, or maybe I'm just like, well, overly, I've looked at the things, I could be like, oh, I've looked at, romance and sex, through these sort of rose-tinted glasses, or I'm like, I'm thinking it's going to be this sort of like, sort of cathartic sort of feeling, and it, and it'll just end up being like, it is pretty good, but it's not like that, it's just like, it's pretty high tier, but it's not in the way that, it's not quite to that level. And I mean, I am kind of afraid of that. I'm kind of, afraid, because it's like, I want to feel that. I want to, like, these are, things, relationships that I haven't had yet, I haven't, had this sort of, I've had, friends here or there, or, a handful of people that I've, been, been back and forth with on being vulnerable, or close to, or maybe it's just like, no, it just takes like forever for you to actually like feel that way, which I mean is fair, because humans are complicated, when relationships are, it's not like a thing you just get, it's something you continue to, have to work on, right? It's not it's not a destination, it's a continuous thing of progress and growth and change, and it just goes that way. It just goes that way until you die. Well, there's an interesting way of going with that. A little dramatic, but yeah, I think you get it. Hopefully. But, I mean, I haven't really given it, like, too much thought, but, I have thought a little bit about, like, I don't know if it would be poems. I don't know if it would be. I have honestly no idea, but I've been like, well, what if I like make videos for, my future love interests, right? What if I just do that? I don't know. I feel like I might very well do. I don't know what that would be necessarily. I don't be like, or like, like what's the way that I can sort of express this sort of like, sort of like romantic thought or whatever, on here. I don't know. Or maybe people weird because it's like, wow, why are you telling us you're these random people on the other side of the planet? Why should we? You know, it feels awkward, it feels weird. Keep that to yourself, weirdo. You know, put that as a private video or something. I mean, okay, maybe, right? Maybe. I mean, yeah. I mean, you don't have to say everything. It's like, I want to feel. I mean, okay, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not what this. Just no, for many reasons, but it's like, I want to feel good. I feel like people understand, and I understand. I want to feel, But it's like I keep on wanting to say, I thought of it now. I said this last thing and like, boom, take that. Whatever it may be. It's not even like a specific person, just like this reality. That's like if it's some kind of fictional character in my mind or something that I'm having like a conversation with. It's like, you can never get like a last word in. You can never get it to like just do what you want it to. Like, come on. But whatever. I mean, fine. Like, I'll wait because that's all I can do. I'm sorry, that was dramatic and kind of funny. I mean, I could laugh at myself, but anyways, I mean, this video is quite long. It's like a minute and an hour and like over 22, close to 23 minutes. You know what? And get going in. It is getting kind of chilly out here, and my phone I don't know what my phone battery is, but it's probably a lot lower than when I started recording. So I'd like to get that charged. I'd like to get that taken care of. But yes, if you've somehow managed to stick around for this entire video, whoever you are, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. If you've resonated with anything that I've said, talked about, not just in this video, although it's a very, very long one, but any of the videos that I've made, and you want to hear more of my thoughts, if you want to, be able to interact with me, just a little bit more, right, or just whatever it may be, you just simply enjoy or like any of the stuff I said or did, even if you won't ever comment or respond, which is perfectly fine. That's your choice, right? Feel free to like the video. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to reach 100 subscribers before Easter. I'm currently at 72, 73 right now. I just want to thank everyone who's helped contribute to that goal. I don't know why I didn't say this whole, subscribe spiel way earlier on the video or in the last part, but whatever. It's fine. Anyways, I'm gonna get going in, take care of myself here, and get ready for bed, all that good stuff. And I see you next video. So yeah, and if you have good day, night, whatever it is for you, have a good time. Oh, one last thing, and I genuinely have no idea, but if this ever will be or anything like that, but I really like the idea that it's frustrating because it's like I want to know this like for a fact, or at least like a probability of or something. But it's like, I really like the idea of like, well, like, what if, what if someday, maybe it's tomorrow, well, the day after this one that I'm recording this in, which I mean, that would be pretty insane. But whatever day or night or anything like that may be, right? Like, or time, like, I really like the idea of like, well, what if she or they, right? I have multiple partners, watch these videos and feel closer to me, know more about me or my thoughts or whatever because of that, right? And I don't know. Right. Like, I want to know, but only future can tell, and there's, I mean, it's possible, but like, it's not very, very not probable. It's not realistic at all. I could know that before I finish recording this video, but fine. Have it your way, reality, because that's, the only way it's gonna be. All I have to do is just wait, because that's the only choice I get. But in all seriousness, Scott's kind of just having fun being, getting on with that sort of attitude. But anyways, hopefully enjoyed this. If you didn't, oh well, sorry about that. But yeah, see you next video.